Hello, good afternoon, friends and neighbors. This is Faisal Hassan, your member provincial parliament for York Southwestern, joining you again another Saturday from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. to speak to you about this week's important issues and also to hear your concerns. Folks, welcome. This is Faisal Hassan, your member provincial parliament, for joining you again another Saturday from 3 to 4 to hear your concerns and talk about this week's important issues of the week. Before we begin, folks, I also wish to acknowledge at this time the land that we now know as York Southwestern is a traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuits, and Métis people. Welcome again, those who are joining Facebook, Faisal Hassan NDP, and also Instagram, Faisal Hassan NDP, and Twitter, Faisal Hassan NDP, as well also on my YouTube, folks. If you haven't subscribed my YouTube, please subscribe it so you can get instant updates as well. Also, you can also watch previous videos and other debates we've took part at the legislature and also at the question period and members' statements as well, which we usually post. So if you missed it, you can actually get instant updates there as well. So you can sign up. Welcome, folks. Welcome, Carlos. Welcome, Brian, and welcome also Paul and all of you folks who have joined, and also welcome friends also joining us from Instagram. Well, folks, yesterday, Ford government have just announced also ministers, and that a new ministers positions again, and that also means Ford moving top ministers. It means an admission of a failure, and that's exactly what it is. I just want to welcome also Hawa, who's just joining us from Instagram. Hawa Mire is our federal NDP candidate, and also others, also Nadia Osman, and also Lupius Aragomas, and others who are joining on Instagram as well, and folks who are joining us also on Twitter, YouTube, and also Facebook as well. Well, this government yesterday, a cabinet shuffle or reshuffle, folks, it is an admission of a failure on many fronts, on long-term care, on critical areas, in the pandemic, how this government handled them, and also small businesses and social services, including files such as the autism and many files of the government. So that looks now at those ministers of the long-term care, small businesses and social services have been changed to a new ministers, and now also Rob Phillips is also appointed in long-term and long-term care as well. So, folks, there you have it, and this is a completely admission of a failure, and really definitely a change. What is really happening here? Ryan Shane Fraser says it. Well, Ryan, welcome. You're joining Faisal Hassan, NDP member provincial parliament for York Southwestern. And usually every Saturday I have kind of accountability mechanisms where the community, because they cannot come to the office because of a pandemic, so I made myself available every Saturday from 3 to 4 to come to you, to your home, to hear your concerns and issues so that we can address them, and also to hear me as well for what's happening at the legislature and what I have been doing on your behalf. So that's exactly. So if you have any concerns, Ryan, I will happy to hear them. And welcome Zainab as well. And also this weekend, last weekend, folks, we were also, myself and my colleagues, I have joined them, a marathon weekend sitting of the legislature to oppose, of course, the government's draconian use of the notwithstanding clause. And some folks also term it the nuclear option. And shortly after arising for the summer, the legislature was recalled to deal with the government's efforts to force through legislature deemed unconstitutional by the Ontario Superior Court. Justice Morgan, the ruling found that Bill 307 and its attempt to limit opinions during an election was a denial of a freedom of expression and served as another example of this premier's willingness to suspend Canada's charter rights for his own political gains. So I will talk about that, and you can also check my YouTube. The debate is there. You can also watch it there. Quickly, I think Carlos Gomez joined us today and says, how so? Ministers are changed all the time. Look at the federal feds and even NDP out west. It is a stretch to say it's admission of failure. Well, I think Carlos Gomez, I mean, if you look at it, the ministers that have been reshuffled are the long-term care, small businesses and social services. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. You know, not if all the ministers have been reshuffled, all of their portfolios, then I would hear your concerns. But I think also that is what I'm trying to say, that long-term care, you've seen the problem of long-term care has been really the failure of this government. And we've seen what happened in the long-term care. Of course, the Liberals had 15 years to tackle this. They're also part of the problem. There's no doubt about that, Carlos Gomez. But also, the military also have revealed what has went into these long-term care homes. And that's why we proposed to get the bottom of this. We proposed, as you know, Carlos, independent inquiry to hear the families, the community, so that we can actually understand exactly and how we can fix this. We know the solutions, we have the answers, but we need to make sure that we tackle it. And this government called a commission, that is exactly the failure. I'm talking about a long-term care front. We need to also remove, Carlos, the profit maximization, and there's no money to make on the backs of our seniors. That's exactly what we're going to do, and NDP government will do. So that's one. And also small businesses front, as you know, small businesses are struggling in our community. The government response has been opening big box schools, and small businesses in our community, majority of them might not come back. And that's also another issue. We've seen also social services, people on ODSP and Ontario Works, they're struggling. You know, you talked about other provinces that are also doing a shuffling of their government. But if you look at it at BC alone, there have been some support for people on ODSP, but not in Ontario at the moment. So this is the three portfolios that has been, in my opinion, is admission of failure of this government. Quickly, also, Ryan says, social diaspora. Well, Ryan, Shane, Fraser also have joined today. Welcome, folks. And folks who are joining us also on Instagram, welcome. And yes, and you know about the history of also, folks, of the Charter Rights of Freedoms. And that is in 1981, when the Charter was finalized, Section 33 with the notwithstanding clause was understood to be a tool to be used in the rarest of circumstances. It is an exceptional mechanism that is often referred to as the nuclear option in Ontario. And as you know, 9 other provinces and territories, Section 33 has never been used because it is use is so extreme. What is to keep future legislatures from passing future laws that infringe on our rights as citizens. So we have to be very careful when government invokes notwithstanding clause. You see, the government had an option to appeal Justice Morgan's decision. You know, there was an option open to them. They haven't taken that path. And I think that question has been asked many times by journalists and as well as also the official opposition. And the other thing also they could have done was to bring a new bill. They don't want to do that. What they're trying to do is simply limit your freedom. So that's exactly what this bill is about. I welcome also Joel Stalling. Just join us. Joel, welcome. You are one of the only first in York Southwestern I trust. Well, thank you, Joel Stalling. I will not take your confidence and trust for granted, but I do appreciate for your contribution jewel in our community, and I am looking forward to working with you, and to work with you and also earn your trust and confidence again in next year, Jewel. Welcome for joining us this afternoon, Jewel. Thank you. Quickly, I think Carlos wants to say something about it here, about long-term care. I'll just give him a chance to hear his concerns quickly. Long-term care has been a failure in Ontario and Canada, he says, longer than I have been alive. And I think Carlos is over 50 years. He says, for over 50 years, it's been an embarrassment. A society's greatness is measured by how it treats them. It is vulnerable, and we have failed. I agree with you, comments that it needs to be fixed. But until politics are put aside, there will be no intangible change. Well, Carlos, thank you very much for actually speaking up about these issues. You're right. The Liberals had opportunity for 15 years. They let us down. Absolutely. This government, with the pandemic and what the military report, it was an opportunity for them to fix it. And they let us down again as well. So that's why, if you have read also our plan for long-term care and home care, please read. And if you don't have it, I will be happy to send you a copy. You can email me, fhassan-co@ndp.on.ca, or you can just Google Ontario NDP plan for long-term care and home care. And there you will also see what we need to do is very clear. We need to remove the profit out of it. An NDP government will fix it, Carlos. The Liberals and the Conservatives had plenty of opportunities to fix it. As you know, Mike Harris, Ernie Eves, Dalton McGuinty, and Kathleen Wynne had plenty of opportunity to fix this. Instead, some of them are sitting the boards, like Mike Harris, of this long-term care. And that is a shame, to be honest with you. So we need to remove profit out of it and fix it where we can make it put more care, 4 hours of daily care and service for our seniors, so that they feel, home and they are looked after. So there's no way we should be actually making profit out of our seniors. So we have to end it. Also, we need to support BSWs to provide them to raise their wages, and make them a profession where they also have trainings and they also be able to, have a living wage there. And that's very important. Welcome. Zainab Hussain says, what about the cutting of the CRBs? Well, is that a federal? Can you elaborate, Zainab Hussain, about that? I think the cutting, I think you're talking about the federal side, and let me know about that. I'll be happy to talk about it, okay? And instead, infringing our rights as citizens, instead of making changes to Bill 307 through the legislative process, they're choosing to silence political opponents and dissent at the expense of our freedom of expression. Democracy is fragile, folks, and exists as much by convention as law. And the override of our charter rights is a totalitarian remedy akin to using a hammer to kill a fly. So, folks, if the government does not take these rights seriously, then it does not take law and democracy seriously. That's it, absolutely. And the government has made a zero effort to find a legitimate pathway to pass this legislation, and also instead has chosen an extreme step that will be difficult to return from. And why invoke another starting clause? It is an undemocratic step and a blatantly partisan attempt to protect the political interest from opposing voices. Ontario will not be fooled, and definitely that was a mistake. And I'm proud to say, folks, that I voted against it because this infringes our rights, and we don't need that kind of laws in Ontario. We should be strengthening our freedoms and our charter rights, and not to limit it. Okay, and I'll just take Ryan quickly first from Instagram comments, and here my colleague Howard says the Liberal Party plans to cut the CERB from $2,000 to 1,200 starting July 1st, despite pressure from the NDP not to do this. This is a terrible for so many in New York Southwestern. We must stand against this. Well, excellent. Well, I think that is because I think there's also another constituent here. Zainab Hussein asked me that question, and definitely you mean CERB, and I think that's a federal issue. And Hawa, who's also a federal NDP candidate, has just also talked about, and I think I say her comments here because cutting that from 2,000 to 1,200 will not help the community. And we need a federal support here because we are in the middle of a pandemic and people are not able to afford, life because of people have been asked to stay home and many people are struggling. And we need also the support of the provincial government to also continue supporting the community. I get Zainab. So that's why I think it's very important that we need to get continuous support from the people here in New York Southwestern, but across the province as well. Well, thank you for sharing that, Miriam. Frank says, I believe she is referring to the Canada Recovery Benefit Program. Correct. That's it. I got it. That's a CERB, and that's a federal jurisdiction issue. And I'm also happy that Howard can weigh in and just also say the importance of members of our community taking away from $800 is a lot of money, basically. And I think that is something we need to, maybe the provincial government can do that, the 800 support for communities that are receiving this and more, because as you know, we've said we need to support the communities now. Now is the time to support the community because we are in the middle of the pandemic. And things are encouraging because of your behavior, because for you following the rules. And that has been a painful 16 months. But now we are coming out, but we need support. People should be supported now more than, it's also it sends a wrong message, the federal government, to actually eliminate that $800 just right now. Thanks, Howard, for sharing that as well. Ryan says, Ryan Shane Fraser, the Ontario government's opened for business policy is putting our health at risk. Good to hear. Well, thank you, Ryan. I think that's a good, I think the government showed clear preferences of who they are supporting. And that's very clear, Ryan, that they have been supporting a big box stores. We've seen our small businesses that are close to the community, that are really, really engaged, the community activities, supporting charities, supporting members of the community. That has been shut down for quite some time. Some of them still, I'm getting emails that they have not received their small business grants. Some have, and we have been engaged with the ministry to get them what they're entitled to. It's taking a little bit longer, but some still, even I've got some parents to this day have not received the support for parents, for their children's education. And that's also another concern, that things are not moving directions in terms of administratively. People are not being processed what they're entitled to quickly, and they're waiting months and months now. So I hear you that the government has been supporting big stores and big businesses, but not small businesses. And definitely in our community, the small businesses have been the ones who have been struggling, and many of them might not be coming back. So we need to support them. And I know the small business support also have restrictions at the moment. It's welcomed, but it's not supporting many businesses. That's why we need to expand. That's why we need to support businesses that are not being included, like dry cleaners, for example, taxi drivers, who are also supporting our tourism industry, but industries like that. And there are many of them who have not been processed, who have not been supported. And that's not right either. So we need to support all businesses here. And definitely we need to continue supporting that. Thank you. Thank you, folks, for joining. If you just joined, you've joined your member provincial parliament, Faisal Hassan, speaking to you this Saturday from 3 to 4 to hear your concerns and also talk to you about week's events and what we have been doing for the past week and so until last Saturday when we've met. And quickly, I know that there have been also many concerns about our community. You know, I know that there have been gun violence in our community also, and I want to talk about that too. And our community was touched by gun violence once again with the recent shooting in the Clearview Heights neighborhood close to Treaty there, and also the issue of gun violence is one that has plagued parts of our community for some time and demands urgent action. And I've been talking about this for so long. I want to offer my thoughts and support to the individuals and families affected by this violence and pledge to continue to urge the government to take action, a serious action about violence. And we need also to invest in the root causes of violence, and that is investing also communities and also providing support for schools and education, and also investments for jobs for young people. And that's where we need also to make sure our young people are introduced to jobs early on, so they have also a hope, an opportunity early on. So definitely we need to work with the government to make sure that this is something is needed in our community and many communities across the province. And we need to do that. I think this government had for 3 years to do that, but we still, as the youth opportunities critic, I would like to also reach them out and raise this, and I've been raising this to make sure that investment comes now, but not 5 years or 10 years from now. So that's also an issue that I'm concerned about as well. Well, Waleed says we need freedom. He's joining us through Instagram, and thank you for joining me, Waleed. I cannot accept you to join me for the live video, but I would be able to read your comments. Okay. Well, thank you for joining me, and definitely we need to strengthen our charter, our freedom, and also strengthening the Charter of Rights is the way to go about it, but not just invoking Section 33 of the Constitution or the notwithstanding clause. And that's, I think, it was a mistake, and I'm glad and I'm so proud that I voted against it last week. And Fraser says, stop. Fraser says, stop the gun violence conversation. It's useless talking about it. Well, we cannot just, I cannot be silenced, Ryman. I have to talk about it. We have to talk about investment. We need to invest in our communities. We need to give hope and opportunities for our young people and also communities. So the communities have been provided opportunity and resources that they need. And this neglect that has gone for too long, since the last 15 years and continuing now, must end. Okay, thank you for joining me, Ryan, today. And also, folks, many of you have written I care as well. It's a big issue, and I know that I want to acknowledge members of the community that have reached out looking for support for vision care in Ontario. Vision care is one aspect of healthcare in Ontario that the government has historically failed to address with investments. This includes other important aspects of health, such as dental care and mental health. I will continue to advocate for our healthcare, a system that takes care of people from head to toe. It's very important that we look at our healthcare, a holistic approach. It's very essential we do that. We need to treat eye care as a key aspect of our mental health, rather than just a mere afterthought. We need to give investment in dental care, eye care, and mental health as well, to make sure that we help people when they need help. And it's very important, as you know, also we've advocated last election to actually create an entire ministry of mental health to address the issue of mental health. Very important, and especially also in the middle of the pandemic, that also is also created a lot of crises, a lot of issues. We need to support the communities now, and an NDP government, folks, will just do that. Thank you. And Waleed says a government cannot support us as human beings. Well, definitely, government must support everyone, and definitely there is hope, and there is also opportunities, and that will definitely, an NDP government, will do just that, to give people hope and support they need. and also to listen to you, because you are the bosses. We work for you. We are public servants. We must be listening. And this culture of not listening to people has really brought us to this where we are at the moment, and we can do better. Definitely, we can do better. And folks who are just joining, you're joining Faisal Hassan, Member Provincial Parliament, and we're joining Faisal Hassan, NDP. You're joining me through YouTube. And if you haven't subscribed my YouTube, please do so. And also Twitter and Instagram and my Facebook page as well. Welcome. I join you every Saturday from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. to hear your concerns. I know that it has been very difficult for you to just come to the office, and also tell me your concerns. You can't do that because of the pandemic. Because of these, I have committed myself since last year, to join you, and we have been doing it over a year now, or if it's not more, to simply hear your concerns. I've been available to you every Saturday from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. to hear your concerns, and I'll continue to do so to make it accessible, to be accessible to you, and so that we can work together, hear your concerns as well. Also, if you haven't joined and you're busy, I know the weather is beautiful, beautiful weather out there, and that's also very important. And also today, I was at the farmers market, and the executive director of Bride was there, and also June is also a Bride month, so happy Bride. And also it's also a Portuguese Heritage Month as well, and also happy Portuguese Heritage Month, and also the Italian Heritage Month also is also June, and also happy Italian Heritage Month as well, and also it's also Filipino Heritage Month as well, and happy Filipino Heritage Month as well, and also it's also Indigenous month as well, so happy Indigenous month as well. And also next week it's going to be also Somali Heritage Week, which will start June 25th to July 1st. So today I was in the farmers market. Really, I was very disappointed because there wasn't much really going on there today, and I hope perhaps people will check in and support vendors, local vendors who came there, and to support our farmers market. I think it's also to shop locally. We need to provide that kind of support. And please, if you are not able to join, maybe join next Saturday. Check it out. They're open from 8 to 2 p.m. there. Okay, very good. Welcome. Well, Ryan says, sorry about my last comment. Violence in this riding have been a problem that won't be fully addressed because it is a way of business for various institutions. Well, that's exactly, Ryan. We need to change that. Absolutely. We have to demand, of course, transparency. We have to demand also justice. We have to also demand investment for our young people and also for our community. So we have to give the community hope. Definitely, as your representative, I want to bring change. We need to end these things that has been an afterthought. Our community is no longer going to be an afterthought. An NDP government, definitely, we will invest here, and I will strongly advocate, to make sure that we change this culture. Others are not doing anything, are not investing in our community. We know that the last 15 years was horrible, and this is also not only the last 15 years, but the last 20 years, of course, and we need to change that. And the last 2 years has not been really, investment hasn't come. The government has been cutting things, and that's not what this community needs. This community needs investment, and also we need, Ryan, to give young people hope, and opportunities as well. And that's exactly what I intend to do to make sure our community concerns are addressed. And we have been fighting hard, on behalf of our community. And decent, hardworking people of our community deserve respect, and they deserve investment. As you know, the Liberals we had 2 hospitals before the Liberals were in government here. The hospital at right there on used to be at close to Kiel and Ingram. It's gone. It's gone. Now they're building condos there. And also we had 200 Church Street, Yamba River Hospital there. is now being shut down there. Nothing is going on, even though now they are using some activities there for, but the hospital now has moved to Wilson. It's a new hospital, high-tech hospital, but it's not only serving our community, it's serving a bigger, geographical area. And our population is also growing, so we need, this is the legacy they have left us, and now, not only that, so many things. You talked about violence in the community. Yes, of course, it will require also 3 levels of government working together to tackle that issue as well. So we can work together, we bring investment, we work the municipality, we work also the federal government, bring our money back, the money we contribute federally, so that we can invest our communities here as well. Well, I'll just take also another comment on Instagram quickly here. Hawa Mire, who's the federal NDP candidate, says, we need a cross-governmental approach to gun violence in New York Southwestern, across municipal, provincial, and federal lines. This is really key. More investments and more supports for those most vulnerable. I agree. And I agree with you, how. I mean, that's very important. And that's, folks, if you don't know, check her website. howamire.ca. Check it out. And I agree with you. We need this neglect to end. It must end. And I'll continue to give our young people hope. And this is what I have done so far, Ryan. I have sponsored a bill in 2019, and that is calling also work integrated learning, where we give all young people across the province an opportunity for work that is paid internships, placements, and co-ops while they are in colleges and universities. When they are graduated also, that they are also eligible, recent graduates as well. Those who are not in school and wandering on the streets also can be brought into provided support for skilled trades as well. So they can give them also access to these highly skilled trades, so that they can also have that kind of jobs that is also available to them. So we can also provide that investment, training, and so that we can put them to work. And also we can also try early on to use schools as a community hub, where we can actually, after school's ends, young people can come and learn other things. They can be mentored, they can be brought other skills, they can also use the facilities for sports, so that it is also the community. School is part of the community. And that's also what we have promised. Last 2018 election, my leader, Andrew Horvath, talked about this intensely, extensively about this. And we need to make sure that schools are part of the community. So we'll bring the young people, the community, to also be given that opportunity. And also we need to also invest more summer jobs for young people, early on. So every young people, either they are in school or they are working. And we can do this. There's some countries in Europe that has done very well on this, especially the European Union, where they also guarantee, opportunities for work for every young person of the community. We can do that. A country like Canada and Ontario, we can work 3 levels of government to work together to make sure our young people are put into the right track. And that requires, Ryan, a leadership. An NDP government will provide exactly that leadership. As you know, my leader, Andrew Horvath, has also appointed me, the official opposition's critic for youth opportunities. And my role and my work is to promote opportunities for young people across the province. We need to put young people first. They are our future, and we need to provide the necessary skills, experiences while they're in school. And as you know, many of you, when you graduate from universities and colleges, still you have been asked to experience. And I ask myself, how are you going to gain that experience if you are not provided it, if you are not given the opportunity? And definitely the government, all levels of government, can play a very important role to just do that. And I have sponsored a motion directing the government to do. The government and all members of the legislature have supported it. But unfortunately, to this day, that was February 28, 2019, to this day, they have not implemented that. And we've asked to start 27,000 positions with internships, placements, and co-ops that are paid for young people to gain the experience they need. It's very important. So that's the kinds of things we can do, Ryan, to give our young people the hope they need. Well, I quickly read. Ryan says these policies affect them, but they don't have a voice in the process. Exactly, you're right, and that's where I come in, Ryan, because I am the official opposition, a critic for youth opportunities. So it's my job now to speak for them, and I've been doing that at the legislature, and I'll be doing it, everywhere to make sure we bring investment, we bring hope for young people, and we also think differently how we support our young people. And think about this: young people go to school, they learn theoretical aspect of it, universities and colleges, but they have never been provided, except some professional positions such as maybe engineering, nurses, medical schools, and other professional schools that are very limited. Some of them have access to that, but other fields of studies, they have never been provided that practical experience. And we want to do it to paid positions for internships, placements, and co-ops for young people so that they gain the experience, build the network necessary to know the industry in which they are studying, so that they know the CEOs, know the managers, middle managers, senior managers, because people will know their work as interns, as also as co-op, as also work placements. And that way, when they graduate, they will get more offers because the employer knows them already. So this is the kind of things we need to do. And the government can actually take a more active role to just do that. And as the youth opportunities critic, I've been advocating on that. There are some jurisdictions that has done so, and we can do it too. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for joining today. Well, thank you, folks. This is Faisal Hassan, your member of Provincial Parliament, joining me again this Saturday from 3 to 4 to talk to you about this week's important issues, and also to hear your concerns and answer if you have any questions as well. And those who are joining Instagram, welcome. And those who are also joining YouTube and Twitter are welcome as well, on Facebook as well. And you folks, you also know that York Memo and also George Harvey Pupil Accommodation Review is going on. And I also gave my deputations last week about that. And I was happy to have an opportunity to depute in the front of a special meeting of the Toronto District School Board Planning and Priority Committee of this week past. And this committee will provide recommendations regarding the modified pupil accommodation review, and will be presented to the Board of Trustees at the meeting on Wednesday, June 30th of this year for final decision making. In my statement, folks, I expressed concerns with the final staff report, and it is recommendations to merge for the 2022 school years. We need to rebuild York Memo CI in its original form, structure, and honor the culture and heritage of this important war memorial. It's a school that is a war memorial. It has a lot of history. It's a community hub, and it's a culture, a part of our heritage. We want to maintain as it was, and this is what we want. And the name of this school must be also maintained, and it must continue to respect the valuable contributions of World War I veterans. This is what the school was actually was a memorial, York Memo, to also honor the fallen soldiers. And we must also preserve George Harvey's CI and maintain the important contributions it makes to our community, because this school also have another function, which is a very important school. And the two schools are separate. We want to remain that separate entity. Both of them, we need them. Our community needs it, and that's why our community is growing, and we need more schools. And these schools are also doing a very important work. They're part of our community. They have distinction of history, and we want to remain that. So we must also preserve George Harvey's CI and maintain the important contribution it makes to our community and respect the unique student population it serves. So we need both schools, and that's exactly what I have presented to the board this week as well. So I want you to know that, and we want them to exactly do that. And as your member of provincial parliament, I will continue to support that because that's what the community wants it. As you know, I had held a community meeting in Kilsdale, and the community spoken loud and clear. They said, we want the status quo, we want both schools to stay separate. And we know why that is. And that's what we want to support the community. Exactly that. York Memo will be built as it was, its original structure and form, to honor the fallen soldiers, the culture, the history of that, and also to continue also George Harvey CI as well, because it also have different services there. There is also daycare, there's also other services that the community needs. And also, it supports also adult education as well. It's a technical school, which is still needed in our community. So that is also having a function which is important to us. So we should maintain that. And that's exactly what I have shared and advocated there. And we'll continue to do that as well. This was also something happened in this week as well. So just want to let you know what we have done on that as well. So thank you for joining me as your member of provincial parliament, and that was very important, that we talked about to share my views, because this is what you have asked me to convey to the. I also wrote to the director of education as well, and also I've also written to the chair, Alexandra Brown, as well, before I presented I debuted there. Okay. So you know that. And if you want more of these updates, regular updates from my office, you can actually sign my newsletter. And you can check it, faisalhassan.ca, go newsletter, and then you can read the past newsletter. You can subscribe there. And by subscribing it, you'll be able to receive daily updates, not daily, weekly, and we'll do our best twice a week to send updates to what we are doing and the issues of the community, so that you are also informed what's happening. Jerry Grossi, welcome. Welcome. Hope you're doing well, and hope all is well with you and your family. I know things are improving. Things are warmer weather is out there. Things are becoming really moving the right direction. Hopefully people are taking their vaccines so that we could move into other stages as well. Well, folks, it's not difficult to see where this government's priorities lie. It is not every day that a government invokes the notwithstanding clause. In fact, last week, the first time, this government invoked here in Ontario all these to pass a bill 307, a bill that strips the third party of our ability to advertise for an entire year prior to an election. In my 3 years in office, not one person has identified this as an issue of concern, folks. Our community understands that workers and concerned citizens should not have their voices silenced. The government decided to focus on silencing critics ahead of an election, instead of solving the lengthy list of challenges that are ahead of us. The efforts and sacrifices of Ontarians like you have resulted in a decrease in cases, but the Delta variant continues to linger as a concern. We are not out of the woods, folks, and there are a number of priorities that need to be addressed. Where is the nuclear option to address the housing crisis we have in our community, the flooding crisis taking place in our community, and also the housing crisis? Above guideline rent increases, evictions and re-evictions continue to block residents in our community, and they deserve protection as well. They deserve the government to also talk about the nuclear option of that. Well, we don't see that in this government. Why isn't the government recalling the legislature to ensure teachers, staff, and students are able to return to safe schools in September? Ontario is the only province in the country unable to return to in-class learning, and parents are eager to see real action. Well, I spoke at the Visual also this week, last Sunday to be exact, for the victims of London terror attack. And this was held at the Thorncliffe Park in Don Valley West. Muslim community members spoke to me of the fear and anxiety they feel in this current environment. They are expressed concerns for their community, as well as their neighbors in the Jewish community and the Asian Canadian community. For this and other communities experiencing hatred and violence, silencing political speech seems like a furious priority. For Indigenous communities and allies still reeling from discovery in Kambaloo's, focusing on reconciliation would be their preferences. I would have preferred an emergency sitting in the legislature for any of these issues. I could easily speak at length about concerns for a hotspots second dose strategy in our community. To this day, folks, we don't have a permanent vaccine location or facility in our community. Real support for small businesses that is needed, or reform in long-term care. Unfortunately, this premier and his government sets the priorities in the legislature, and clearly those priorities are not the same as yours, as members of our community. And definitely, I'll continue to advocating for our community to bring results and priority for you and for your families. Well, Fortune, welcome. May Kala, welcome. And also Tanya O'Connor, welcome. Hope you're doing well. And it's very important. Also, this government doesn't even talk about the nuclear options for flooding. You know, when this community rains, it rains hard. You know, and it hits hard in our community. It's floods, and many members of our community are still struggling. You know, issues of flooding. We've never seen this government using the the nuclear option for those issues important to the communities like ours. You know, so thank you for Tanya for joining as well, and also many of you also have written to me about reopening of fitness centers, gyms. You know, and thank you to community members who continue to advocate for reopening of gyms and exercise facilities. I appreciate the value that exercise provides to a person's physical and mental being. It's very important that people have to exercise, coming out, you know, going outside and exercising it, you know, walking, and it's very important. I see, governments like the BC government, that recently reopened gyms in that province, along for that opportunity here, for that opportunity here in Ontario. The government's poor management of the third wave resulted in a surge of cases, and public health experts continue to express caution. But I'm hopeful that we may see some changes in the coming days, folks. And it's very important that we also do our part. You know, if you haven't gotten your first doses, go and get them, and get your second as well, so that, you know, we reach the stage 2 and then stage 3, so we can also open these facilities, and also open things moving the right direction as well for all of us. And I thank you, folks, for actually doing such a sacrifices for so long. And I know it's about time also. The government also puts a priority for the community as well. Well, thank you. If you have just joined, you are joining Faisal Hassan, NDP, your member provincial parliament for York Southwestern, joining you every Saturday from 3 to 4 to hear your concerns and your issues, and sometimes also to update you the important issues of the week, and also to hear your concerns and your issues and answer some of your questions as well. I know, you're joining some of you YouTube, and if you're joining from YouTube, you can also subscribe so you can get instant updates for, on debates at the legislature, or question period, or members' statements, or in general, any announcements of town hall meetings that you can actually go and watch previous subject and issues, so you can also get those important. And if you're not following us also on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, you can also do that. So you can also follow me, the issues we are talking about as well. And also you can also another way to connect. And if you also want to write to me, share informations or suggestions, you can also write to me, fhassan-co@ndp.on.ca. You can also phone at 416-243-7984. Thank you. Also, I want to also take opportunity, folks, now to thank, actually, I wanted to take a moment to recognize the incredible work of St. Fidelis Golden Age Seniors or Club, and also St. Fidelis Parish at Corney Street for all of their hard work, hosting a fascination clinic here in our community. And they have recently wrapped up their second round of vaccinations and responsible for ensuring the vaccination of over 450, close to 500 local elders in our community, getting their vaccinations first and second. And this is the great work of to bravo to the team of the St. Fidelis Golden Age Club volunteers, and also Mary Virena for her leadership. She has done a fantastic job, and I want to thank you for your leadership, for really, coming out in the middle of the pandemic and organizing and coming together, bringing also my office and also, the Humber River Hospital, and getting results for our seniors. Well, I thank you, each and every one of you, for doing what you have done so much for our community, and I thank you for that. Grazie tutti. And also welcome Bob Sanderson, and Mary Kala says thank you too. Well, also, the summer job session is also quickly approaching, and youth continue to struggle in search of job opportunities in our community. The government has failed to put together a plan to address this issue and has left young people to fend for themselves. And I asked, a question, linger about the CNE financial viability. We need to invest opportunities for our youth employment and open doors that are otherwise closing to young people in our province, especially in Toronto. We know that CNE and majority of the young people I talk to, they say to me, my first job was the, CNE, and that probably a year, close to 5,000 young people get a job there. And now, if you don't support it, they might not, that opportunity of jobs might be gone. So we need to invest and help and support those kinds of opportunities for CNE to continue offering summer jobs or part-time jobs or full-time jobs for young people when they need them to gain some experience and also learn also the work ethics as well. And that's why I think it's important that we put young people first and to invest them, and this is why we need programs to support young people as well. Well, folks, thank you for joining me this afternoon. Just give me a minute. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. My name is Faisal Hassan. Of course, I'm your member of Provincial Parliament, and you have been joining Instagram, Faisal Hassan NDP, Twitter, Faisal Hassan NDP, YouTube, and also Instagram, and also Facebook, Faisal Hassan NDP. So if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube, you can do so. And if you want to talk to me any issues that you want to write to me about, you can write to me, Faisal Hassan -co@ndp.on.ca. Okay? And there we'll be able to also respond to you. If you wanted to talk to me, you can also call me 416 That's the constituency office at the moment. The office is closed, but we are still working on emails and telephone. Okay, we can also address your issues that are important to you as well. So of course, I just want to make a quick announcement. Definitely next week we'll be having a couple of events, and I want also, as you know, that I talked about last week about clean trains now, that a bill that I have sponsored with my colleagues from Barkdale High Park, from Devonport, from Humber River Black Creek, and that is my colleague Butila Caprocci from Barkdale High Park, and also Mark Stiles from Devonport, and Humber River Black Creek, Tom Rikosovic, and we have sponsored together a bill tackling, clean trains now, and our community have been fighting on this. So on this Wednesday, you can join us in the evening after 6 p.m. You can join us, and we will be talking about, we're also inviting special guests as well to talk to you about the work they have done on the Clean Train Coalition, a group that has worked very hard in our community, and they were instrumental. Of course, I know their work because when I was the constituency assistant to my former boss, Mike Sullivan, who was the former member of parliament here, York Southwestern, I was also very closely working with them in that regard. I know their work. They have been instrumental of actually also fighting to get this stop here on Up Express here on Western. And at the beginning, Up Express was from Union Station all the way to airport, was designed to only well-to-do and business, men and women who are just cost them $20 to go up downtown and the airport. So we fought hard. The Clean Train Coalition now fought that, and we gained the Western stop and also Blue. And that's the riding of a Black Creek, I think it's a Humber River Black Creek, from my colleague Potila Caprocci. And now we want to make sure these trains that are going through and roaming through our neighborhood, they are still diesel. And we want to electrify it quickly. We need electrifications now, and we want clean trains now. So we're going to revisit and bring those members of our community who have worked very hard on this file, and they were a Clean Train Coalition. And I would be happy to join us Wednesday to hear their input and also to talk about our bill, to also bring quickly, electrifications, and demand this government moves quickly. And we know that the Liberals' record on that, Stephen Del Duca, and also Minister Murphy, also the former mayor of Winnipeg. He was also the Minister of Transport as well. So they haven't moved that into electrifications on Up Express here, and trains going into our community. Also on Wednesday, I'm going to have a special author who lives in our community, who wrote ABCs. We would like to know, and I would like to, the author, Ayana Francis, will be joining me to talk about her book and why she wrote this book. She will tell us all of that as well. We want you to know about her book and why it's important our young people learn about the Caribbean geography as well, and history of those islands as well. So she will tell us more about it, and I'll be delighted to invite her to talk about it. Ayana Francis will be joining me Wednesday, and also on the 25th, it will be the week starting the Somali Heritage Week, and we are going to bring special guests, artists, and we are working on the details of that. But I'll be happy also if you could also join us in the evenings. We'll be also sharing with you that as well. Follow me on my Twitter, follow me on my Instagram and Facebook, more details of those events. And definitely you will be also joining me again. Hopefully we can meet again next Saturday as well. But before that, you can join me this coming Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And also again Saturday, so we can continuously talk important. And also I would like also for you to join us on also Tuesday when we talk to Ayanna Francis, who's an author, wrote ABCs, a book for children actually, and to educating children through the ABCs about the geographical locations of the Caribbean and the Caribbean islands as well. So it's very first book that does that and accomplishes education of young people through the ABCs, and that's very important. So I will be wanting to hear a member of our community, Ayanna Francis, to come on Tuesday. Join us, folks, then. And then also Wednesday, we'll be talking about also Clean Trains Coalition and our bill about clean trains now, up express to electrified immediately. Well, folks, that's it for me. It is 4 p.m. already. Time flies quickly. Well, looking forward to joining us also Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and also Saturday. Until then, folks, have a wonderful day. Enjoy the beautiful weather and enjoy your weekend. And hopefully, until then, if you want to reach me, you can reach me Faisal Hassan _co@ndp.on.ca. You can also write to me through my email, and also you can phone at 416-243-7984. Well, folks, until then, thank you and have a wonderful